started the night Evelyn returned to her childhood home to settle her late mother's affairs. The air in the countryside always carried a chill, but that evening it pressed against her skin like damp breath. The house was as she remembered, creaking floors, the scent of lavender oil and mothballs, and silence so dense it felt like another person in the room. She didn't sleep well, not that first night, not with the tapping. It came just after midnight, a slow, deliberate tap, tap, tap against her bedroom window. She dismissed it as a branch, though she knew better. The maple tree had been cut down years ago. The second night, she lay awake waiting for it. It came. Same rhythm, same tempo. She gathered the courage to look. Nothing but the inky dark pressing against the glass. She left the curtains closed after that. By the third night, the tapping changed. It mimicked a pattern. Two slow, one fast. Pause. Too slow, one fast. It wasn't random. It was intentional. She told herself it was grief, exhaustion, old memories muddying the edges of reality. But then she found the footprints, small, bare prints beneath the window, pressed into the damp soil. A child's. No children lived nearby. The house was isolated, miles from the nearest neighbors. That afternoon, she searched the attic. She didn't know what she was looking for until she found the photo album tucked behind boxes of linens. In the back pages, a photograph. Her mother as a young woman, smiling uneasily beside a child. The caption read, Matthew, 1987. A name she'd never heard. That night, the taps were frantic, desperate. She covered her ears. The next morning, a note lay on her windowsill. Torn paper, written in a child's jagged scrawl. Let me in. She said you would. She didn't sleep after that. The final night, the taps were gone, replaced by the sound she hadn't heard since she was a child, the slow groan of the front door opening downstairs. Footsteps padded up the hallway, bare, wet feet, and a whisper at her bedroom door. You left me too. The lake was still, like glass holding its breath. Ellie hadn't been back in nearly a decade, not since the summer her brother drowned. Her therapist called it exposure therapy. Face the memory, own the space. But the cabin was colder than she remembered, even in late August, and the trees seemed to lean in too close, as if they were eavesdropping. She brought a box of his things to return, pointless maybe, but symbolic, a water-warped sketchbook, his favorite red hoodie, and his journal, which she'd never read. Her parents had kept it hidden, then forgotten it in a drawer. She found it after the funeral, too heartbroken to look inside. That first night, lightning rolled across the lake like a scar. The wind howled against the roof as she sat curled on the couch, fingers tracing the cover of the journal.
Finally, she opened it. Most entries were what you'd expect. Drawings of fish, musings about school, a girl named Casey he'd liked. But the last few pages were different, messier, rambling, terrified. There's something in the water, not a fish, not an animal. It talks. It knows my name. It called to me today from under the dock. If I disappear, it's because I listened. Ellie dropped the book. Her first instinct was to rationalize. He'd been 12. Kids imagine things. But she couldn't stop hearing that word, listened. That night she dreamed of him. Wet hair clinging to his forehead, eyes milky and hollow. He was knocking from beneath the floorboards, whispering her name from underwater. The next day she walked down to the dock just as he must have. The water lapped calmly against the wood, innocent as ever. But when she looked down into it, her breath caught. There, just beneath the surface, a face, pale, familiar, her own, mouth open in a silent scream. She stumbled back, but the reflection remained, and in the silence, a whisper rose from the depths, not her brother's voice, but her own. It's your turn.
The apartment was cheap. That should have been the first warning. Max had just moved to the city, desperate for work, out of money, out of pride. When he found the listing for a studio with low rent and no prior tenants, he didn't ask questions. The landlord met him out front, handed him the keys with shaking hands, and left without a word. The place was small and stale, the kind of silence that feels like it's waiting for something. Still, it was his. The first night, he noticed the hallway. It wasn't a hallway in the apartment, just outside of it. The building had this narrow, dim corridor that passed his door and led nowhere. No lights, no exits, just wall at the end. Around 2 a.m., Max woke up with a strange pressure in his chest. Not pain, not fear, just awareness, like someone was standing over him. He got up to splash water on his face. That's when he saw the shadow. Through the peephole, a tall figure standing perfectly still in the hallway, not moving, not blinking, just facing the door. He waited. It didn't leave. It didn't blink. When he finally opened the door, nothing. Just the empty corridor. The next night, it returned. He didn't look through the peephole this time. He felt it, as if it pressed against the walls of the room, against his lungs. The air got colder. The lights flickered. From the crack under the door, 2 bare feet appeared, dark, unmoving. Max shoved his dresser against the door. The third night, he packed a bag, decided to leave. But the hallway had changed. When he opened the door, the corridor stretched impossibly far, longer than the building should allow.
A single light bulb at the end swung slightly, and beneath it, the man. He was closer now. Max slammed the door, heart pounding. The next morning, his phone had dozens of missed calls from numbers he didn't recognize. Every voicemail was the same. Faint breathing, and a voice whispering, "He's behind you." Max turned slowly. The apartment was empty, but the closet door was open just a crack. The lilac bush outside the window had been dead for years. Claire remembered when her grandmother planted it, back when summers smelled like sun and sugar, and ghosts were just old stories. After the funeral, the bush shriveled and blackened. No flowers bloomed since, until last week. She noticed it one morning, lavender blossoms, fresh and full, just below her bedroom window. Strange, but beautiful. She leaned closer. The scent was overwhelming, sickly sweet, too sweet. Not the lilacs she remembered. She didn't sleep that night. The scent clung to the walls, thick as syrup. She woke often, disoriented, sure someone had been standing in her room. In the morning, she found her bedroom door ajar. She always locked it. She tried to laugh it off, blamed the wind, stress, but every morning the door was open and the scent was stronger. By the fourth day, it was unbearable. Her food tasted like lilacs. Her skin carried the smell. It made her nauseous. The bush outside her window had grown, sprawling into the siding, vines crawling toward the roof. No one else in the neighborhood had seen it bloom. Claire dug through her grandmother's old boxes, looking for anything, gardening notes, books. Instead, she found a letter, dated a month before her grandmother died. "If the lilacs bloom again, don't let it in. It doesn't forget." That night, the scent was suffocating. She jammed towels under the door, opened windows to let it out, but the air outside had gone still, and through the scent, she noticed something else. Whispers, barely audible, like someone speaking from the walls. Around midnight, something scratched at the window, not sharp, gentle, like nails across glass. She turned on every light. That's when she saw it. A figure crouched in the lilac bush, thin and gray-skinned, with a face like melting wax and hollow black eyes. It stared at her without blinking, and when it smiled, flowers bloomed between its teeth. She screamed, slammed the window shut, called the police. When they arrived, the bush was gone. Not dead. Just gone. No roots, no dirt disturbed. But the scent lingered, and the next morning, lilacs bloomed inside the house.
Trevor didn't believe in the supernatural. Not really. He fixed electronics for a living. Wiring, signals, logic. If something was broken, there was a reason. So when his grandfather died and left him an old shortwave radio, Trevor took it more as a sentimental trinket than anything of value. The thing was ancient. Cracked dials, warped wood casing, a hum that never quite stopped. He placed it in the corner of his apartment, near the window, and left it unplugged. That's why he was confused when it turned on by itself. At 3:12 a.m., a burst of static cracked through the dark, sharp enough to jolt him awake. The radio buzzed, shifting between frequencies on its own. He checked the cord. It was still unplugged. From the speaker, a voice emerged. Not clear, not music, just a whisper. "Trevor, pick up." He unplugged it again, fully, completely, but the sound didn't stop. The whisper turned to a hiss, then back into words. "I know you can hear me." He smashed it the next day, hauled it to the dumpster, and dropped it in. That night, the buzzing returned, but this time it came from his phone. He checked it. No calls, no messages, just static in his earbuds when he tried to listen to music. Then came the recordings. Clips saved to his voice memos overnight, though he hadn't opened the app. Always the same, someone breathing close to the mic, and a voice like his grandfather's, strained and angry. "I never left. You brought me back." Trevor stopped sleeping. Days bled into each other. Every device he owned began acting up. Laptops, TVs, even his microwave flashed strange symbols on the screen. In the silence between each flicker, he could feel the voice, waiting. Eventually, the whispers grew clearer. They no longer spoke to him. They commanded, "Come home! Finish what we started! Turn it back on!" He returned to the dumpster. The radio was gone. In its place sat a new one, gleaming, polished, untouched by age. The dial was already turned, and his grandfather's voice came through clearly now. "Good. Now we can really talk."